Today, we are diving deep into the messages our unconscious mind sends us through our dreams. And let me tell you, sometimes those messages can be profoundly dangerous. We're going to explore this through one of the most powerful and honestly chilling examples from Carl Jung's work. It's a story about a dream that presented a choice, a beautiful, ecstatic illusion, or a cold, hard, and brutal reality. So let's start with the dream itself. So, a man once told Jung about this dream he had, and it was incredible. He's climbing this huge, snow-covered mountain. The weather's perfect, the sun is shining, and the higher he gets, the better he feels, until he's at the summit, just overcome with this feeling of pure joy. He feels like he could just float right off into space, and then he actually does, waking up in a state of just total ecstasy. I mean, on the surface, that sounds amazing, right? A dream of ultimate triumph, literally a peak experience. But, with dreams, that first impression is almost never the whole story. So was this really a vision of some kind of spiritual achievement, or was it actually a desperate warning call coming from the deepest part of his psyche? To really get what's going on here, we have to first understand the part of us that was having this experience, the conscious ego. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. Jung had a very specific take on the modern mind. He believed that our conscious ego, the part of us that thinks and plans and gets us through the day, can develop a really serious blind spot. Think about it. In our world, it's all about what you can see and what you can achieve. We build our careers, we hit our goals, we master new skills, and slowly but surely, the ego starts to think it's the captain of the ship, the only one in charge. It totally starts to ignore the vast, ancient, and kind of wild world of the unconscious, which for Jung was the very foundation of who we are. And that one-sided view, well, that can lead to some pretty big disasters. And Jung had this perfect story to illustrate the point. He talks about this super successful, self-made guy who starts having these weird physical symptoms, anxiety, dizziness, kind of like mountain sickness. Well, he has a dream that he's back in his poor home village. He's all dressed up in a serious black coat, carrying these thick books. And his old classmates look at him and say, "That fellow does not often make his appearance here." The dream was basically screaming at him, "Hey, you've completely forgotten where you came from. You're so busy climbing the ladder that you've lost touch with your own roots." And there's a name for this kind of disconnect in Jungian psychology. It's called ego inflation. It's what happens when the ego, our small conscious self, gets confused and starts to think it's the entire self, the whole psychological shebang, conscious and unconscious. The ego just gets puffed up, arrogant, it starts walking on air, totally convinced of its own greatness, and completely cut off from the real world, from its own limitations. It's a total illusion. And as we're about to see, illusions can be deadly. So, how does our psyche try to fix this? How does it pull us back from the edge? Well, it talks to us in our dreams. And for this story, Jung pointed out two dream functions that are absolutely crucial for us to understand. All right, so on the one hand, you've got dreams that have a compensatory function. Think of it like a balancing act for your mind. The dream shows you all the stuff your conscious ego has been ignoring or pushing down, trying to bring you back to center. But then, on the other hand, dreams can have a prospective function. Now, this isn't about predicting the future like a crystal ball. It's more like a psychological weather forecast. It takes all the little bits of information you've picked up and says, okay, if you keep going down this path, this is the most likely outcome. So here's the bottom line. For Jung, dreams are not just random noise. They're a purposeful, intelligent force inside of us. Their whole job is to restore our balance, to drag our conscious mind back to reality, and, when it's absolutely necessary, to flash some serious warning lights about the path we're on. But here's the kicker. To really understand yourself, to get to that true height that our climber thought he was reaching, you can't just float up. The psyche has a different itinerary. First, you have to take a journey downwards. And this is a fundamental pattern of transformation. Jung saw it everywhere in myths and in his patients' dreams. He tells a story of a theologian who dreams of the castle of the Grail high up on a mountain. But to get there, he first has to go down into this deep, dark chasm with some pretty spooky water at the bottom. The lesson is clear. If you're thirsting for the shining heights, you first have to make a journey into your own darkness. This trip into the unconscious shows up in our dreams in all kinds of symbolic ways. Sometimes it's like entering a dark cave, a mysterious place where you might find artifacts from some ancient culture, which is really just a symbol for the primitive parts of yourself. Or it can look like a full-on battle with a serpent or a dragon, which is just a confrontation with those powerful, instinctual forces we try to pretend we don't have. But maybe the most powerful symbol for this journey is what's called the night sea journey. Think of Jonah getting swallowed by the whale. The hero is consumed by the sea monster, taken down into the dark belly of the beast. That journey into the darkness is what's necessary for any kind of psychological or spiritual rebirth. You have to go in to come out again, changed. So whenever you see these really potent symbols in your dreams, like water, the ocean, a deep abyss, a cave, you gotta pay attention. Jung said, water is probably the most common symbol for the unconscious. It stands for that vast, deep, mysterious world that's always churning just beneath the surface of our awareness. Okay, so now we have the tools. We understand the danger of a puffed-up ego, we know that dreams can be a warning about the future, and we know that you have to go down before you can go up. So let's go back to our ecstatic mountaineer and look at his dream again, but this time with our new toolkit. I mean, it felt like total victory. It felt like he was becoming a god. But what was his unconscious really trying to tell him with this amazing vision? Let's break it down, piece by piece. All right, step 1, the mountain. In a dream, a mountain often represents the journey to know yourself. So far, so good. But then, step 2, the ecstasy. This wasn't the satisfaction of a real achievement. This was the giddy, ungrounded high of ego inflation. Step 3, floating into empty air. This is the absolute key. He doesn't stand firmly on the summit. He floats past it, completely losing his connection to the earth, to reality. And all of that leads to the dream's final message, its perspective warning. Jung's interpretation was blunt. The dream was saying, you are seeking your death in the mountains. And Jung told the man this, straight up. But the dreamer, who was used to thinking his own opinions were the only ones that mattered, he just brushed it off. He treated the dream's warning like it was just another opinion he could argue against. The really tragic thing is, Jung's opinion was on the side of psychological fact, and the man's wasn't. His overconfidence, his ego inflation, had real-world consequences. Not long after, he did in fact die in a mountaineering accident. It's such a tragic story, but it just hammers home a deep psychological truth. Living in an illusion, believing your ego is the whole story, it's just plain unhealthy. It's hostile to life itself. Because sooner or later, reality is going to trip you up. The unconscious tries to send us a warning. It offers a course correction. But in the end, the choice to listen is always up to our conscious mind. And so that leaves us with a question for ourselves, doesn't it? Our conscious ego is always making plans, always striving, always climbing what it thinks is the right mountain. It thinks it knows the way. But the unconscious is at least half of who we are, and it offers us guidance we can't get from anywhere else. So this question isn't just about a man who died on a mountain a long time ago. It's about all of us. Your ego has a plan, but what are your dreams trying to tell you?